Hello everyone, my name is Yuan Ren. I'm from Inclusive Interaction Lab at UC Today I'm going to present our work evaluating tap, flick, force, and wrist gestures for interacting with vertical display via smartwatch. Interacting with large vertical display presents challenges, primarily due to their size. In many cases, users cannot physically reach all parts of the screen, especially the upper or far corners, making interaction not only inconvenient but sometimes impossible. Prior research has explored methods using external devices such as smartphones, tablets, laser pointers, or gesture-based systems. However, these approaches are often inaccessible to individuals with motor or other physical disabilities. Smartwatches provide a promising alternative. They are always within reach, offer intuitive controls, and do not require users to perform large or expressive gestures. However, the small screens of smartwatches and their reliance on tap-based interactions make precise target selection difficult, particularly for users with motor impairments. Here are some examples on Android Wear OS and Apple Watch OS. To address these challenges, we investigate alternative input methods such as taps, directional flicks, wrist gestures, and force variations to support single-handed interaction that does not require precise target selection. We conducted a user study to compare the above input method. The tap method includes regular tap and long taps. Long taps required holding for at least 2 seconds to activate it. In directional flicks method, users perform flick gestures anywhere on the screen. To distinguish internal input from minor movement, the finger has to travel at least 10 pixels for a flick to be registered. In wrist gesture method, users twist their wrist towards their body or away from their body. We define a flat position within the range of 0.7 to 10.97 degrees. Any angular deviation beyond this range was registered as a twist. For force variation, users applied different levels of pressures, soft, regular, or hard, when tapping. And taps with a force below 0.01 and a duration less than 132 milliseconds was considered as soft, and those with a force above the 0.02 and a duration above 551 milliseconds was considered as hard. For each task, we determined the interaction threshold through a pilot study. We used a fossil Gen 6 smartwatch, a fourth generation Chromecast with the Android TV OS, and a 65-inch large display as our experimental devices. We recruited 12 participants to perform 11 tasks over 20 trials without looking at the smartwatch. Successful input registered virtual feedbacks where font colors changed from white to green, and the next task appeared. We measured performance using 2 key metrics: task completion time, the average time in seconds that participants took to accurately complete each task, and error rate, which is the average number of errors made per task, and an error was recorded whenever the participant's input does not match the target sublevel. After completing the study, participants fill out a custom usability questionnaire and the NASA TLX workload assessment. The experiment took place in a lab with a display mounted 90 cm high and 360 cm from participant. The results showed a significant effect on task completion time. We identified 2 distinct groups, directional flicks and the rest of them, which is the tab with the flicks and force-based, with the directional flicks being significantly faster than the others. Further analysis revealed a significant effect on taps and force. Long tap took 78% longer to perform than regular tap, which is expected given its inherently slower design. For force, our analysis identified 2 distinct groups, soft, regular, and hard, with the hard pressing taking significantly longer to perform than the other levels. Participants were 28% faster with soft force, and 13% faster with regular force compared to the hard one. We found no significant difference of directional flex and wrist gesture. Flex in all directions took approximately 1.8 seconds to complete, and participants took about 2.5 seconds to perform wrist twist in both up and down directions. We found significant difference on error rate as well. Result identified two distinct groups, force-based and the rest of them, which is the directional, flex, tap, and wrist gesture, with the force-based method resulting in significantly higher error rates than the other methods. Participants made no errors when performing tap and long tap, most likely due to their familiarity with these actions from regular use on various touchscreen-based devices. For directional flex, there are three distinct groups: down, up, right, and left, with down and up being the least error-prone and left being the most error-prone. And this might be attributed to the fact that all participants were right-handed. And interestingly, these errors does not impact the overall task completion time for the left direction. We also identified significant difference on wrist gestures and force-based interaction. For wrist gesture, the overall error rates were low. Participants made 75 more errors when twisting the twist away from the body compared to the one towards the body. This is likely due to the wrist physiology, which makes inward twitching easier. And additionally, wristwatch users commonly perform this inward motion, for example, to check the time, contributing to the greater familiarity. We identified three distinct groups for force, which is soft, regular, and hard, with a soft and hard being significantly different from each other. The regular force level resulted in much higher error rates, with 55% higher than soft and 67% higher than hard. And the post-study comments suggest this might be due to having difficulty maintaining a constant force at a regular level. For subjective feedback, we identified a significant effect on perceived speed, perceived accuracy, intuitiveness, naturalness, ease of use, learnability, and willingness to use. Results indicated that participants found directional flex comparable to taps across all evaluated aspects. On the other hand, wrist gestures received the lowest rating overall. And interestingly, the force-based method was perceived moderately well, showing comparable ratings for speed, intuitiveness, and learnability compared to the taps and directional flex. For workload, we found a significant effect on mental demand, physical demand, temporal demand, performance, efforts. As anticipated, tap was rated as the most effortless and least frustrating, closely followed by directional flex. On the other hand, participants found the wrist gesture to be the most demanding, lowest in performance, and the most frustrating, followed by the force-based method. In conclusion, our results highlight directional flex as a strong alternative to traditional tap-based interactions on smartwatch. Task completion time for directional flex were nearly equivalent to taps, both averaging between 1.5 and 2 seconds. Flex also resulted in the lowest error rate after taps, and participants rated them as nearly as usable and effortless. And finally, unlike tap-based interactions, which required precise target selection, directional flex can be performed anywhere on the screen. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much. And please visit our social media if you have any questions in the future.